be a Q&A until 11. Brew that coffee. Reese, another cup of coffee.
Now, because everyone does not project as well as he does, if you have a question, you have a microphone back there that you can use. But I want to ask the first question.
Oh, God.
Is your home, is your address where you live in Illinois?
Okay, if you look
I
back
live in
behind you,
Illinois.
if you look back behind you, we have a microphone right here. If you have questions, come on back.
Shout, or just, if you can, shout them out. Shout them out. No rules. When I do town halls, you can ask me anything. Let's go all the way in the back.
Hey, last week on Fox News, they reported that our government is going to deploy, I think, 30,000 unmanned drones to fly over the United States to spy on us. And they try to tell you, they try to tell you that, well, we're doing this because of terrorists or drug dealers. Well, to me, that's a con job. I ain't buying it. It's control to spy on people. If they were serious about that, they'd close up the border down in Mexico, and the people in Arizona tried to do that, and Obama and his bunch of Marxists and communists, what did they...
Tell me how you really feel. I need you to let go.
Don't get me wrong!
Hey.
But Obama and them are suing the people down there in Arizona for that,
You're right. The House and the Senate passed the reauthorization of the FAA. Part of what was in there was this piece of that legislation which expanded the national airspace available to drones. Now, you all need to know that we've had unmanned drones flying over American airspace that the military and local government agencies have been using for about 4 or 5 years. How'd you know I like Korea? Very nice. So, here's what we need to do. Here's what we need to do. Won't be implemented until 2015. There are a number of hoops that, and it opened it up to commercial enterprises, Google or other enterprises, for whatever reason they want, to be able to charter and fly unmanned drones. We have got to make sure, we've got to keep our eye on this and make sure as diligently as we can that these are certified drones for real national security reasons.
But the thing is, people need to know what's on these drones, that they're high-resolution cameras.
I agree.
And infrared cameras and microwave technology.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, they can fly over your home and see you and your wife in bed together and what you're saying to each other.
I don't know that they'd want to look at that. But no, listen.
On YouTube.
Hey, is this being taped? No. Hey, sir, you're right. What's your first name?
George.
George, I hear you. Here's the deal.
Yeah.
For all of the patriots in the room, here's the deal. Let me be really black and white. I speak in front of high school classes a lot. And I love saying the following to them. And if you walk away with 2 things I say, walk away with this tonight. It is not a matter of if. Let me finish, George, before you throw something at me.
Go ahead.
It's a matter of when we as a country get hit again. And I firmly believe, based on what I've seen, when we as a country get hit again, we will get hit with weapons that will make 9/11 look like child's play. Let me just start there. Now, there's not a lot I want my government doing. But one thing I want my government doing is defending us against that. Hold on, George. There are evil people around the world. There are evil people in this country who want to kill Americans. This president doesn't understand that. He doesn't believe in it.
Well, that's
So it's the eternal battle of our government protecting us, defeating the evil, but never stepping on yours and my civil liberties.
Well, then why is that idiot reducing our
in so much trouble.
reducing our nuclear arsenal by 8%? Well, China is geared up for war. They're getting ready to kick our ass.
George,
That's
I'm going to
why.
move on, but you're right. I love the fact that you're passionate. Do you see why I still have hope in this country? Look, this president believes this is an exceptional country, and I don't think he understands the risk
That's why
that
we need
we've
to get him
got.
out of there.
I agree with you. That's one of the reasons
Yeah.
why. But look, folks, we are in a war on terror.
Yeah.
And it's right here in our country. It's up to us and our government to stay vigilant. I voted against the defense reauthorization a month ago. A, because we know why, right? But before you before you keep clapping for Joe Walsh, I also voted to extend a few of the provisions of the Patriot Act. This is enough of that. Hey, this is a balance. And it's up to you and it's up to the other people in government to always stay on our government to make sure they don't abuse these tools. Yes, sir.
So, wouldn't it be fair to say that a change in our foreign policy might be more protective than flying drones over our heads?
You know what? Yeah, I'm not smart enough. All I know is, I know this. I know this president doesn't understand how serious the threat is. I've introduced.
Now we're beating the war drums for Iran.
Absolutely not.
The idea of imperialism that these guys keep attacking.
Well, I'll give you one real simple example. I have introduced and probably been one of the most outspoken freshmen on supporting Israel. I will swim across the Atlantic. For the first time in my lifetime, we have a president who I truly believe is not a friend of Israel's. That is frightening. It's a big, dangerous world. And the other side doesn't think like we do. Newt Gingrich had a great line a year ago. He said, I don't want to eat lunch with radical Islamists. I don't want to understand them. I don't want to have a party with them. I don't want to get to know them. They're trying to kill me. I want to kill them. That's what we need to do.
That's right.
Look, our founders, this is it. It's right there in the Constitution. Defend us. But you know what? It's a constant battle because our government throughout history in the defense of us has always abused our liberties. That ain't going to change. We have to stay on top of them to make sure they don't. But I don't want my government not defending us. Yes, sir.
My name's Jack Owen. My wife Joan and I have a great Kessel.
Jack, you know what? That's your wife? You married up. Oh my God. Now, look at that. Joan, I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know what you were thinking.
Anyway, we
Don't
have
forget
a
your
great
question.
cast on the Defenders of Liberty Tea Party, and we'd love to have you come over and talk to us sometime in the future. And,
Well, now that you know my secret, all I need to do is be asked.
I was born and raised in Illinois, but long before you were born.
Okay.
You probably don't remember Dirksen and,
I know the names.
well, you know the name. Well, it was just as bad there as it is now.
Yeah.
Probably. But you talked about the riots over in Greece and elsewhere, and you say you're happy, and I suppose you are. How does what we have going on here in this country with overtake Wall Street, what's happened in Wisconsin? You know, Ann Coulter has a book out, The Mob Rule. Do you see any correlation between what's going on here and over there?
Yeah. Plop down, Jack, and I'll give you the answer. You're right, thank you. It's a great question. That's where we're headed.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where we're headed. Look, folks, again, really simple. There are two Americas at war with each other right now. God, I'm glad we're having this fight. It's long overdue. We've all slept the last 50 years.
Right.
And we've woken up and we've realized, my God, that's not the America I always read about. It's not my money. I don't control my life. I don't have any freedom. This whole Obamacare thing with him basically saying there's no freedom of religion, that's important, but you know what the bigger issue is? This is Obamacare. When we passed that legislation, we ceded our control over our own lives to government. That's just the start, guys.
Yeah.
Does it seem far-fetched to any of us that 5, 10, 20 years from now, unless we can repeal Obamacare, we're going to be in some hospital room or somewhere, and some government bureaucrat's going to tell us what we can and can't do with our mom and dad, and not us? We know that's coming. This is what we've given up. So, look, Europe, Greece, they are much more evolved than we are down that road. And many of those countries never had our freedom-loving beginning. We're moving in their direction. And it's so simple. I wish I had a nominee that could say this, that could proudly say, good God, man, Mr. President, my life is all about freedom. I can take care of my beautiful wife. Thank you very much. Let me keep my money and be proud about that. But every single administration, from Obama to Bush to Clinton to Bush Sr., the only guy in my lifetime who's been there with us was Reagan. Otherwise, it's been a slow march toward us losing control of our lives to government. We're not that far away. Folks, we're not 15, 16 trillion in debt. Uh-oh.
No way.
We're 90 to 100 trillion when you count all of our liabilities. The unemployment rate's not 8.3%. It's about 15 to 17 when you count everybody who's quit. Look! Now I'm coming to you. Obama came into the White House with a big pile of you-know-what on his desk. He didn't create it, but he did something with it and he made it worse. He turned toward government and said, I'm going to take this thing called government and I'm going to make it better. It's made everything worse. Reagan, in 82, in 80, came into office with a big pile of you-know-what on his desk. What did Ronnie Reagan do? He said the exact opposite. That thing caused the problem. I'm going to turn to the American people. I'm going to take that thing and get them off the American people's backs. I'm going to cut taxes, I'm going to cut regulations, and I'm going to let the beauty of America grow. And when you look at the two recoveries, no comparison. None. Why can't our nominees say that? Yes, ma'am.
Disagree that they should be audited.
They should be audited by Monday at noon when I go back to work. This is, I love Ron Paul, this is something Ron
Yeah,
Paul's
because they're printing counterfeit money. We're not allowed to carry counterfeit money. We're not allowed to trade with counterfeit money. Why is the Federal Reserve allowed to just print money out of thin air that we don't have?
I'm not often very careful about what I say. I think I do know ultimately what I'd like to do with the Federal Reserve.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just start here. There's enough consensus in the House now that we should be able to pass legislation to audit it within a year.
Ron
And that's
Paul.
what we should do.
Drones to monitor the Federal Reserve, please.
Yes, sir.
That's what we should use, the predator drones.
Exactly.
on the
Get rid of the real terrorists.
Yes,
Send a
sir.
few to Washington.
I got a question about the debt ceiling.
The debt ceiling.
That is a major problem with me and the burden on my kids. Seems like we sent a lot of freshmen to Congress that voted for this bill, and I want to know your take as far as this debt ceiling bill.
Oh, boy. Well, again, it was very easy for me. I voted against every debt ceiling deal. But those were the toughest votes, because those were the votes where, we were worked the hardest. How's that for being very diplomatic? But look, it's really clear to me. And I called the president a liar in May when he actually got on TV and said, boy, I'll tell you, if we don't raise that debt ceiling by August 2nd, I don't know if I can guarantee your Social Security checks or the veteran checks. And he was just lying plain and simple. The problem is, we were afraid to go past the deadline. It was like last year, we were afraid to shut down the government if we had to. Look.
I say shut it down if they can't do the job.
I agree. And again, you know these numbers, really simple. When we say trillions, our eyes glaze over, right? Even when I looked at the wonderful PowerPoint up there, it still doesn't resonate. So forget trillions. Let's think of Spencer, Indiana, right? Hold on, I'm going to get you, Beth. Spencer, Indiana. Forget trillions. Here's what your federal government did last year. If you were a family of 4 living in Spencer, that family of 4 living in Spencer had a rough year. They only brought in about $21,000 last year. Mom, dad, 2 kids. They made $21,000 last year. That family of 4 in Spencer, Indiana spent $37,000. Now, I don't know how they sleep at night. They bring in 21 grand. They spend 37 grand. I don't know how they survive, but we know the story's not over. That same family of 4 in Spencer, Indiana, that made $21,000, spent $37,000, has an outstanding credit card bill of $146,000. How do they live? That is what your government did last year. That's unconscionable. Now, it's unconscionable. It's wrong because of what we're doing to Reese, but you know what else? It's wrong because, again, every dollar that big, ugly, humongous thing called government has is a dollar we don't have. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just have 2 questions for you. Number 1, if the liberal Democrats manage to get you out of office in Illinois, will you please come and represent Indiana?
Now we're moving to Spencer. Hey, I may need a job.
All right, my second question is,
She thinks I'm kidding. Go ahead.
with all the checks and balances that our Constitution affords the legislative branch and the judicial branch, and with all of the ways that Obama has trampled on the Constitution, what has kept the other 2 branches from standing up and doing something against Obama to limit him in some way?
Okay. Well, but again, look, there's nobody who wants to run through a wall to save this country as much as I do, and we all do. But I'm going to ask you, don't throw anything, you throw me, to listen to me and listen to me about one aspect of this at first. I'm always asked about my leadership. I'm always asked about John Boehner. You got to understand that John Boehner probably has the toughest job in America. Think about it. There he sits, and he's trying to work with Harry Reid. Let me see if I can find it. He's trying to find Harry Reid. Harry Reid doesn't work. The Senate doesn't do anything. I don't know how they get paid, right? They haven't passed a budget in 1,023 days. So John Boehner has to figure out how to work with the other body. That's not all. He's working with a president. He's got to talk to a president, negotiate with a president that, folks, you talk about in over your heads. This guy has no business being president. But worse than that, he stopped governing a year and a half ago. All he does is campaign. So you're John Boehner, and you've got to try to get something done with those people. And right behind John Boehner, you got guys like Joe Walsh, just right behind Boehner saying, "Come on, Mr. Speaker, be bold, be tough, shut her down, stand up for Reese." You got 20 or 30 or 40 of us screaming at our speaker to be tough. I only say all that so you have a little bit of sympathy for what he's going through. I mean that, genuinely. I wish we were bold, but when it comes, there's a lot we can go after. I think and I hope and pray there's going to be a formal investigation on Fast and Furious. How outrageous. How outrageous. I think and hope and wish and pray there's going to be an investigation on all these green energy companies. I think and wish and hope and pray that there will be suits filed, and they have been filed, when it comes to these recess appointments that this president made. And they have been filed, and they will be overturned. And I think and wish and hope and pray that the ruling that he came out with 2 weeks ago, you talk about taking the knife and just sticking it into the heart of this country. The first right in the First Amendment, the very reason this country broke away, my freedom to worship and pray as I believe, don't you get in the way of that. And we've got a president that says to not just my church, the Catholic Church. How about a Catholic businessman who employs 100 people at his plant outside of Spencer, who is a practicing Catholic, and he doesn't want to be forced, or she doesn't want to be forced to have to provide insurance that covers these services that go against his religious beliefs. Folks, that's a dagger in the very freedoms that this country was founded on. And by the way, all we in Congress can do is put a spotlight on these things and defund them. All these czars and these executive orders that he runs around with just throwing out of his pocket, don't give him money for them. But you know what? I got to just say this. As angry as you might be at this president, November. Folks, beat him in November. Beat him. Yes, sir.
Congress has the purse strings. I have two questions. Congress has the purse strings. Why are they not defunding a lot of this stuff they're doing, other than just politics? And my last question is, we as patriots in this country that's pushing this movement, how do we get Republican leadership like Joe Walsh that will stand up for the right things of this nation? Boehner and Connell aren't cut.
No.
Well, here's why. I went to the President's State of the Union. I've been here myself. It was so hard. I sat next to Joe Wilson. It was so hard. Because every other word out of his mouth is just, come on. But to answer the first part of your question, the President said something in that speech, and that's where I had to be held down a little bit, because I was starting to jump up. He said, the problem in America is Washington is broken. And I wanted to scream, no! The country is broke! I only say that because there are people in Washington who believe the American people are mad at us. What's my approval rating? I don't even think it may be negative by now. There are people in Washington who believe the reason America is sick of Congress is because we can't get along. We're just yelling at each other, we're dysfunctional. You know what? I've never bought that. I never will buy it. I think people sent us there to be happy warriors and to fight. They wanted us to fight. Reese wants me to fight.
Yep.
But not everybody in Washington believes that. So, that then means, yeah, we do have the power to defund a lot of these things, but that means you're going to have a fight. That means you might not pass a budget. That means you might shut down government for a little bit. Oh, that's just going to be... That's the disagreement. Now, to answer your second question, buckle up. Folks, it took us 100 years to lose the American dream. It took 100 years to get to the point where I don't get to keep my money, and I don't get to take care of my family, my church, my community. It took us 100 years to get to the point where the President of the United States can say, freedom of religion? Not going to happen overnight. Thank God for you all. You made a shot in 2010 and you sent the Republicans to the House. Thank God you did that. And just think about it for a minute. Step back. Imagine that the Republicans didn't take over the House last year. Ready? Is everybody sitting down? Think about this. The Republicans never go to Congress. Reese, all of America would not know what the debt ceiling is. Would have no idea what the debt ceiling is. Thank God they do now, right? I can tell you, if the Republicans weren't in the House, if you don't like the fact that we haven't cut spending enough, and I don't think we have, it would be 2 to 3 times worse if Nancy Pelosi was still your speaker. So, as the first 2 years of Obama, we were going like this. See if you can see any movement. Now we're going like this. Not happy, but if we weren't in charge of the House, we'd be going like this. It's a start. You've got 20 to 30 in our apocalypse caucus in the House. You got about 20 to 30 of us. You need to double those ranks. You need to put Republicans in charge of the Senate because you got a great core of conservative senators. Rand Paul, Mike Lee, Jim DeMint. You got some good guys. Send them some more good guys. And then Richard Murdoch. Say this. I'm a freshman in Congress. Who am I to endorse anybody? But how long has Lugar been there?
37 years.
So do that. Do that. Do that. But please be with me. If it's Mitt Romney or if it's somebody you don't get excited about, folks, 4 more years of this president, I don't know that we recover. You make that calculation. You do. I'm so angry at Mitt Romney because he's not a Tea Party guy like Joe Walsh. Okay, if that means a lot to you, I respect you for it. But my God, I don't want this president in the White House without another election to worry about. I fear. Oh, I want to smile. I fear for this country. You make that calculation. Yes, ma'am.